How do you make yourself do what you're supposed to do? How do you kill procrastination? Have you ever had the experience of sitting down and wanting to go to work on something? There's something on your to-do list and it's important. And instead of doing it, your brain comes up with all sorts of excuses not to do it. And before you know it, hours have passed. You've watched YouTube. You've looked at Twitter. You've done all sorts of stuff that you shouldn't really be doing, that is low priority. And the thing that you're supposed to do is still looking you in the face directly, asking you, what is wrong with you? Why didn't you do the thing that you were supposed to do? What's up? And if you're not careful, you get the impression that there's actually something wrong with you. Now, you're a human being. And what I've noticed in human beings like you and me is that we all have this tendency. And we can go deep into the reason why, and maybe I'll do that in a future video. But for now, let's talk about a simple thing you can do to actually fix this, get on the right path, force you to do what you're supposed to do. One of my favorite bits of Jim Rohn is when he talks about affirmations. He says a lot of people have these affirmations and, I'm rich, I'm powerful, I'm good looking, I'm thin, whatever. And he says, if you're going to do affirmations, it probably makes sense to affirm first what is true. So if you're poor, you're going to say, I'm poor. But then you're poor and you're young, and maybe you're in a first world country. So now you're a poor guy, poor young guy in a first world country, all the opportunities you can imagine. You have the internet, you have all the knowledge at your disposal, and you're still poor. I like that bit of his because it's such a stark contrast to the usual, law of attraction, airy-fairy, just think about it and it will come. And he's probably right. That's the first part you want to start with. Like, as a human being, whatever you're doing, it's either to avoid pain or chase pleasure, get pleasure. Like, it's always risk reward. It's the danger and the pain of not doing something versus the possible reward and the pleasure of doing something. So let's do this. If you have a journal, pick up your journal and divide the page into columns. If you don't have a journal, take some piece of paper, divide it up. I like writing this down. I know everything is on computer these days and you can type it. I like writing it down. I think it adds an extra dimension and it's good for you. So if you want to do is write, get some paper, get a pen, divide it up. So on the left-hand column, what I want you to do is list all of the things in your current life, in your current situation that suck or that you're not happy with. So if you're making $1,000 a month and you actually want to make much more, let's say 10,000 a month, you write down, I only make 1,000 a month. If you're fat or if you're overweight, you write down, I'm 20 pounds overweight. If you drive a shit car, you write that down. All the stuff that isn't optimal, that you want to improve, that you want to, like in your ideal situation, how would that look? And you're going to make a list and we're going to get real about life. Because before we can move on and motivate ourselves to get our goals, it's important to look reality in the face. Even if it's ugly, that's fine, but at least you know what's there. So let's start out with that. Make the list. Before you just pause the video, make the list, and then we'll go on to step number 2. Did you do it? Did you make the list? I hope you made the list. Okay, I'm going to assume you made the list. So now we have a list of the stuff that sucks. On the other end of the page, like the other column, I want you to write down the dream state or the place you want to get to. If you have your current car that you have, what car would you like to own? If you have your current income, what income would you like to earn? If you have your current weight, what weight would you like to have? And what I want to stress is that I don't want you to go overboard. So many people, when they do this, they say, I make 1,000 a month and I want to make 1 billion a month or 1 million a month. And it's so far outside of the realm of experience that it's almost farcical. So it's not You can't even imagine the difference between $1,000 a month and $1 million a month. So if that's the case, like if you're driving a 1989 Toyota right now, yes, I understand that you want to drive the Lambo, the $300,000 Lambo, and that's great. But probably, you're not going to go from the Toyota to the Lambo. That's not the way that usually goes. There's like a step in between. It's absolutely fine to put in the step in between. So you're not going to go from 1,000 to 1 million a month. You're probably first going to go from 1,000 to 5,000 or 1,000 to 10,000. And that's absolutely fine. Write down your goal and an achievable goal within like a realistic time span. Do it now. What you now have is a list of the stuff that you don't like and the stuff that you do like, that you want to move towards. Now what I want you to do is look at the stuff that you want to move towards, the goals, and open a document. And I'm going to tell you to type it because that's easier. What I want you to do is write down the goals and write them as if you've already achieved it. So I weigh in at X amount of pounds or kilos, and I have amazing energy levels. I'm in better shape than I've ever been in. I have a visible six-pack, right? I drive this car. I feel super proud driving it, and I know I'm just getting started. I make this amount of money a month, and new opportunities keep finding their way to my desk. So write down affirmative statements as if they're already true, as if they're already a reality. Because we're going to use that to fuel your fire and to drive you towards what you do want. And what you're going to end up with is a document with 2, 3, 5, 10 affirmations that you'll be able to read out loud and actually visualize. Because the next step that I'd like you to do is to print that list. And if you've written it down in your journal, even better. And every day, as a part of your daily ritual, you're going to go over your affirmations. And you're not just going to read them like a robot, like a drone. I have this much money in the bank. And that's not what I want you to do. What I want you to do is actually sit down with your list and you take it and you read the first thing and then you close your eyes and you actually envision yourself having it, owning that, being in that situation, being in that state. And when you've made a clear picture of it, like when it come to life in front of your eyes, your mental image, then you go to the second thing, etc. And you do that first. And I know that sounds sort of airy-fairy, spiritual, almost to the point of BS. But I've been doing this for a long time. And what it has done for me, much more than like regular meditation or regular affirmations, it's sort of a mixture between the two. And whenever I do it, it sort of primes my mind to get stuff done. So before I sit down to work, I do this. And I have my own list of goals where I want to go. And I have my mental image of it. And for me personally, I do it before I go to work. And whenever, let's say I have a midday appointment and I get back to my office or I get back to work, I do it again. And I do it before I go to sleep. So there's usually at least 2 moments that I do it in a day, that I actually fly out, see the goal that I've set for myself, see it actually happening. And it reminds me every day of what I'm actually doing this for. And a lot of the procrastination issues that you have is not knowing the direct reward of what you're doing. And this helps you anchor that and trigger that desire for future reward. So try it out. I'm sure it's going to help you out because it helped me out as well.